Welcome back to the GR8 podcast. Today we are talking about the NBA playoffs 2023. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Sorry about the lack of podcast episodes. I've been kind of busy and somewhat of the quality. They're a little bit shorter and my microphone doesn't work like the best. It's like a $20 microphone off of Amazon. So we're still rocking with what we got. So we're honestly just going to talk right through it. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, at least the first round. I'm not going to give you any of my predictions throughout the playoffs because I honestly have no idea how to do that because I'm not good at predicting anything, as people notice from my March Madness bracket experience. I'm not good at predicting anything, but what we're going to do is just talk about the NBA playoffs going through every single series. So starting with the West, we have the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. So the 1-seeded Nuggets and the 8-seeded Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves just got through the play-in, and the Timberwolves actually played super, super well against the Thunder. I'm actually surprised because the first play-in game they didn't play super well, but they still managed. Well, no, they lost, right? They lost to the Lakers. The thought of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert makes me upset. It just makes me upset. Two huge bigs on the Timberwolves. Is this experiment actually working? And I'm sure in the Timberwolves front office, sure, because they made it to the playoffs. But you had a good cast of characters around you. You had D'Angelo Russell, you had Jared Vanderbilt, and now you have this. I don't know. And there's tons of other trades that happened with the Timberwolves, but you had a good cast of characters around Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, and then you kind of just mix things up for Rudy Gobert, and then now it lands you in the 8th seed against the 1-seeded Nuggets with maybe the third reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, and his cast of characters like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. I don't know. I think this series is going to be kind of crazy because the paint is going to be so clogged up with a lot of bigs, a lot of front court going on. It's going to be an interesting series nonetheless. Suns and Clippers, the 4 and 5 seeds respectively. Now, I'm interested in this because the Suns are such a stacked team now with Kevin Durant, but also we get this. We get Suns who are so loaded in the front half, right? Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and then now Kevin Durant. But who's on their bench, right? Who they got plumbers in on their bench, while you have the Clippers, who may have the most well-rounded team in the league, and they've had this for years too. They have a great cast of characters, like I said with the Timberwolves. They have a great cast of characters that on any given night can give you like 20 or 30. They have great role players on the Clippers bench. I know they're not going to be without they're not going to be without any Paul George, and that's bad. Like that's bad. Is Kawhi Leonard really going to take his team? Is he really going to carry this Clippers team? Does he care enough? Is he going to get hurt? Russell Westbrook against Kevin Durant? What a matchup. What a story. So interesting because only 10 years ago, less than, they were both on the Thunder together and they went to the Western Conference Finals. And ever since then, boom, just absolute chaos. So that's gonna be for sure an interesting series. Contending with the West, this is my favorite matchup, I think. The Kings and the Warriors. The Kings, for some reason, statistically, I think it's more in the advanced stats, have had the best offense in NBA history. I think it's per 100% possessions, but I'm not necessarily too sure. Plus, they have had the longest playoff drought in any American professional sports team in forever. They haven't made the playoffs in their respective sports leagues. The Kings have not made the playoffs in 17 years. And the Kings and the Warriors have never played each other in the playoffs, nor have they ever been in the playoffs at the same time. So how in the world are these teams supposed to prepare for each other? This is going to be the battle for North California, I guess. The Kings are not on paper the better team, but they are the higher seed. They fought for their seeding and their record, while the Warriors had so many problems with Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole at the very beginning of the season. Such a weird season for the Warriors. Steph Curry has been in and out of the lineup because of injuries, but he's still playing at Steph's level like he always does. Klay Thompson, coming off of multiple career-ending injuries, is now having one of the best seasons of his career. Like, what is going on? What is going on? Is Jordan Poole going to step up? And if he does, is he going to get punched by Draymond Green again? Domantas Sabonis. Oh, and Mike Brown, Coach of the Year for the Kings. Like, holy cow. This series, I think, is going to be the most interesting. I'm so excited for this one because it's going to be so much fun to watch. These two teams that honestly have no idea what to do with each other play against each other. And it's going to be sad because we have the reigning champs, the Warriors, with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, maybe the most explosive offense in the league, versus the most well-composed, poised team, probably the most surprised in the Sacramento Kings. I don't want either of these teams to lose in the first round, but that's what's going to happen, and that's pretty upsetting to me. And then finally, we have the 2-7 Grizzlies and Lakers, respectively. Honestly, if you have LeBron James on your team, you should not be anywhere near a 7th seed. Just being honest. But I know they had a whole bunch of changes. The whole roster went upside down in the last trade with Russell Westbrook. And now, they actually have a good team. They actually have a good-looking team, actually. They've been playing so much better at a high level since that trade, which is so weird. And Anthony Davis, if he can stay healthy, I think this would be a very, very interesting series. John Morant, with all this offseason, this NBA season has been just so weird. John Morant, can he be explosive? Can he get people off the dribble? If it's John Morant versus LeBron James, like, who's going to go to the line more? Who's going to score more points? Who's gonna shoot more threes? This is going to be a very interesting defensive battle, I think, because neither of these offenses are like the best ever, but both of these defenses are actually fairly okay. So I think this matchup with these Grizzlies and Lakers is going to be an interesting one as well. This is just the most interesting in NBA playoffs I've ever seen. I truly say that. I know last year when I started, around the time that I started my podcast, because honestly, those the NBA. So I think I've been doing podcasting for about a year now, about 25 episodes in. Not sticking to my schedule at all, but whatever. I said that last year. So interesting, such an interesting NBA playoffs. And honestly, I'm going to keep saying that because if we keep getting interesting matchups like the Suns and the Clippers, Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook, if we keep getting the battle for North California, Kings and Warriors, and I haven't talked about it yet, the Cavaliers and the Knicks, Donovan Mitchell, literally supposed to go to Madison Square Garden, and the Cavaliers picked him up, and now they're playing each other in the first round of these playoffs. Like 76ers and the Nets don't have anybody now because Ben Simmons won't play, and they traded everybody else. Such an interesting NBA playoffs, and super excited. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Now we are going to get into the East. So we have the Bucks versus the Heat. I thought on paper the Heat are a better team. I really do. I think they don't deserve this play-in madness. I don't think they deserve to weirdly lose with Kyle Lowry scoring 33 points and then winning. And then now they're in the playoffs versus the Bucks. Like, the Bucks are just going to kill them if the Heat don't play super well. I mean, if the Heat don't hit like if they don't go 100% from field goal percentage against this series, the Bucks are just going to give them a sweep. Like, as simple as that. Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, if they all can stay healthy, you might be looking at an NBA finalist. Possibly. And then we have Cavaliers and the Knicks, 4 and 5 respectively. And I talked about this earlier with Donovan Mitchell, literally packing his bags, literally in Madison Square Garden. I would not be surprised if he worked out for the Knicks on that court for the Knicks, and then they just didn't sign him. In free agency, they just didn't sign him. Donovan Mitchell went to the Cavaliers, said, okay, I'm going to get my bag. And now they're the 4 seed against the Knicks. The Knicks are such a weird group of NBA players. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley. Like, what's going on in that team? Such an interesting team, but I'm glad that they're in the playoffs. I'm glad that they're the 5th seed. Knicks fans, honestly, Stephen A. Smith, you guys deserve this. You guys deserve to actually have a good team and be in the playoffs. So proud of the Knicks, proud of the Cavaliers, because both almost kind of young teams, kind of inexperienced with all these players. Going to be an interesting matchup as well. 76ers and the Nets, 3 and 6. Interesting, because if the Nets still had James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Ben Simmons, if he actually wanted to play, obviously they wouldn't be in the 6th seed. They'll probably be in the 11th. But just assuming that they all had them, they had their entire cast of characters that they started with the season with, I think they got the 76ers on this one. But since their promotional art for this matchup is the 76ers versus the Nets, is Joel Embiid versus Mikal Bridges. Like, I love Mikal Bridges. He is Iron Man, man. Like, he has played, I think, the last full 2 seasons. And that's hard to do, honestly. He's a beast. And he's flourished with the Nets, almost kind of having his own team. But of all players, do you really want Mikal Bridges having his own team? I'd almost give Klay Thompson his own team before I give Mikal Bridges his own team. But that's no Mikal Bridges slander. But they're facing the 76ers. They're facing the potential MVP Joel Embiid and former MVP James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, who all have been averaging, I think, 15 points this whole season. All 3 of them. That's offense right there. So I really don't know what the Nets are doing, even in the 6 spot. But I don't know. That's going to be an interesting matchup as well. And then finally, I think we have our least interesting matchup this whole time, even with the 1 and 8s and whatnot. The Celtics and the Hawks. The 2 and 7. I'm going to give you a little statistic. Okay? According to thinkingbasketball.com, okay, they ran an experiment, sort of, advanced stats with the Celtics. I want to ask my viewers a question. Who is the team that had the best offense against the top 10 teams in the league this regular season? Question for you. That's what it is. Answer: the Celtics. Okay? I'm going to give you another question. This is going to be my last one. What team had the best defense against the top 10 leagues, top 10 teams in the regular season? Ready? Answer: Celtics. The Boston Celtics. For some reason, they are exploding on offense, and for some reason, they are locking down on defense. Such an interesting team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. When this season started, I thought Jason Tatum was going to make a run for MVP. Now the finalists are Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Where's Jason Tatum in that? Where? You know where he's at? The 2 seed in the East, about to play the Trae Young Hawks. For some reason, Trae Young actually decided he wanted to play basketball again in the NBA in the play-in tournament. But that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at the Celtics thinking they're going to beat the Hawks, definitely. Can they beat the 76ers? And if so, can they beat the Bucks in the conference finals? And if so, can they go to the NBA Finals? Will we see a matchup? Will we see a rematch between the Warriors and the Celtics? Will we? Question for you. It's possible. I think this is the first year in NBA history where I'm looking at this and I have no idea who's going to win. And the only statistics or whatever that I can refer back to is just last year. Fine, maybe it's just going to be the Warriors and Celtics again. No one thought it's going to be that. No one thought that was going to happen last year. No one thinks that's going to happen this year, but it could. We could see a Knicks and Timberwolves NBA Finals. We could see a Grizzlies and Nets NBA Finals. That's what's so interesting. I have no idea who's going to come out of the East or West. The West probably is a little bit more wide open than the East. I mean, you have your Bucks, you have your 76ers, and you have your Celtics. Everybody else, they're not going anywhere. Sorry. But the West? Who's gonna be the NBA West Division nomination? Who's it gonna be? The Nuggets? Is it gonna be the 4th seeded Suns? Is it gonna be the Kings that haven't been in the playoffs for the last 20 years? Is it gonna be the 7th seed LeBron James and Anthony Davis club? Who's it gonna be? I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I love the NBA playoffs. They start today, Saturday, April 15th. I'm excited. I hope you guys have a fun time watching the NBA playoffs, as I know I'm going to. Talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.